let's do it.
I'm gonna just get a timer going here, and then whenever you're ready.
Welcome to the first episode of my podcast. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this yet, but I just wanted to come in here, record an episode, just talk about some stuff, and I'll figure out the name of the podcast before I upload this.
There we go.
This is going to be my co-host for today. His name is Sohail. He also has a podcast if you want to promote that.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, the Say What podcast on my channel, youtube.com/SohailAli. But happy to be here to support you, Sam. You're a great friend of mine, and you're always helping out me with my content, so happy to do the same.
I appreciate it. Well, before we dive into some of the juicy details, anything you want to talk about? Warm us up a little bit.
Oh, let's see. It's Labor Day night, just chilling. I know we just saw each other, and we're trying to record this late here at night, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this. I personally know your story, your journey, the last few years, how much physical fitness has improved and been such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And I know that this has been something that you've wanted to share for quite some time, and I'm really excited that we're starting to. So many people have amazing stories like yours, and oftentimes we just don't hear them. So I'm really excited for it. How do you feel about it?
I'm excited as well. I think that's something that I should probably clarify. This podcast is going to be primarily fitness focused. There's going to be some kind of lifestyle stuff involved as well. Talk about my life, my experiences both with fitness and probably a little bit outside of fitness as well. Just kind of whatever I feel like talking about on any particular day.
Yeah.
But yeah, for anyone that doesn't know me, I am very interested and very passionate about fitness, nutrition, basically anything like health related in general.
Sorry, why don't you bring the mic a little closer there? Like, make sure they can hear you nice and clear.
For anyone that doesn't know me, I am very interested and very passionate about fitness and nutrition and basically anything health related in general. I've been super into lifting weights for 8+ years, and I've had some ups and downs over those years. One pretty big down and then an up, I guess you could call it, that we're going to get into in this episode, that kind of made a massive difference in my ability to just make progress in the gym.
Right. Now, you said 8+ years. Is that when you say you really started taking like lifting seriously?
I probably started lifting. The first time I ever lifted a weight was probably about 10 years ago.
When you were what, 14?
It might have even been longer than that. It might have even been like 11 or 12 years ago, the first time I ever stepped foot in a gym. I was in middle school. I'd always struggled with my weight, and my dad decided that it would be a good idea for both of us to start going to a personal trainer together. I've always been very close with my dad, so I was excited to spend that time with him and do something with him. So I agreed to go.
Yeah.
And it started a couple times a week. We would work with this personal trainer. His name is Ryan. I would go with my dad. I think it was like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was just kind of going through the motions of working out.
You're learning the fundamentals.
And also I wasn't at all passionate about it. I actually, in the beginning, didn't really enjoy it.
Really?
But I went both because I liked the opportunity to spend the time with my dad, and also because I did want to lose weight. And I did want to like change something.
Yeah. Were you what were you into like as a kid? Were you ever into sports, things like that growing up?
I played several sports growing up. I played a lot of soccer growing up. I played ultimate frisbee. a lot of ultimate frisbee, and I was actually pretty good at ultimate. But I was like, I always struggled with my weight. Like, it didn't seem to matter
Right.
how active I was. I was a very active kid.
Yeah.
And then going into middle school, I would say I became less active. I didn't play any sports in middle school. I didn't do anything like that.
Where'd you go middle school?
Jackson Creek.
Let's go.
And I started to put on a little bit more weight in middle school, and that's when I got into lifting.
So would you keep going with Ryan and the personal training sessions, and did you just kind of peel off and start doing it on your own?
I went to Ryan for a very long time. There were periods in there where I would stop going. Like, I wouldn't go to the gym at all. I wouldn't train with him. But I probably trained with him off and on for 5 or 6 years. I would say by about the third or fourth year of lifting, it was kind of between my freshman and sophomore year of high school that I really started to get into fitness. Like, I can clearly remember sitting in classes like end of freshman year, not really paying attention to the class and like doing my own research on fitness and nutrition. And it just took off from there.
Was there like a goal you had in mind there? Like, was it like weight loss? Was it building muscle, toning?
It was primarily weight loss, but also building muscle. I just kind of wanted to completely transform my body. And at that time, I started to get really into like fitness influencers on social media. So I was following a lot of them. I would see what they were doing or see what they looked like, and
very inspiring.
I kind of wanted to emulate that.
Yeah.
And I still do. Like, don't get me wrong, they all have great physiques. They all look great. But I think that's something important that I've learned is you can take inspiration from them, but don't try to copy what they're doing. Like, everyone's different. I'm never going to look exactly like any of them. But at the time in high school, I was super big into like watching fitness on social media, fitness content.
Like who were the kind of people that stuck out to you that were interesting creators in the space?
Some of the first fitness influencers I ever watched, there was a channel called Six Pack Shortcuts, which
I think I remember.
They were like one of the first fitness channels on YouTube, and they gave horrible advice, like absolutely terrible advice.
Why? Or what did they say?
The only specific thing I can remember is there was one guy, I think it was a couple of guys, if I'm not mistaken, that kind of made these videos. And there was one guy that made these videos who was in great shape. He had an amazing six-pack. That's why they called the channel Six Pack Shortcuts. And he would show what he ate in a day, and it was like crazy amounts of food that just like, you can't look the way he did and eat like that and do the things that he said he was doing. It's just not possible.
Was he a swimmer?
He lifted weights, but a lot of their workouts were like 6 packs in 60 seconds or something like that.
Right.
And it would be like a 60-second ab circuit, and then he'd show himself eating, like 1,000 calories worth of steak.
Wow.
They don't go together.
I mean, for people who don't understand fitness, you cannot get it. First of all, you can't get a 6-pack in 60 seconds. Maybe in like 1,000 60-second sessions, but the diet part, man.
But at the time, like, I was just getting into fitness. I was just learning stuff. So,
right.
And they had a massive channel at the time. The channel actually doesn't even exist anymore.
Is that right?
Like, they completely deleted the channel. I don't know why. I mean, the information they gave out was horrible.
Well, there you go. No more misinformation.
But yeah, I learned. That's kind of how I learned, was from like trying things that didn't work and learning from from making mistakes and learning from experience.
Right. Now, where would you primarily work out?
The Iron Pit Gym here in Bloomington. I've grown up going there. I'm very good friends with the owners, and it's like a community there. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of love for that gym.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
Just the community feeling, and the owners are super nice. They've always been super welcoming to me. They've always been super friendly.
And you would have your personal training sessions with Ryan there too, right?
Yeah, he still works at the Iron Pit. If you want personal training, hit him up, Ryan Stanton.
There you go.
We can link his Instagram in the description.
Yeah.
But
so high school, you're getting through, and for those interested, I think we became friends around freshman year. We kind of we knew of each other.
We met each other freshman year. I don't think we started to get closer until like sophomore, junior year.
Right.
That's when we had that whole friend group.
Yes, our core friend group, which I'm thankful to this day. Most of us are all still hanging out like usual. I mean, that's almost 10 years now if you think about like 2012, 2013. So
that's crazy.
I know, and like all of us in our own different ways have changed, of course, but you, I mean, anyone that knows you past the last couple of years would notice that you've gone through an incredible transformation.
I appreciate it.
No, it's true. It is.
I appreciate it.
I mean, we can jump into how that happened.
Yeah, so I started to get more and more into fitness. By my senior year of high school, it was my biggest passion. At that time, I think I had stopped training with Ryan, and I was just training on my own. Continued lifting very seriously. The year before COVID started, what year did
2019?
So right before COVID started, I had the most success with weight loss that I'd ever had up to that point. I'd lost about 50 pounds, and COVID hit. Gyms closed. I wasn't able to go to the gym. I put on most of that weight that I lost, put it back on. And then I moved to Virginia to go live with my dad. And I should back up a little bit. So I'd been seeing a primary care doctor here in town for many years, and as I got more and more into fitness, I didn't understand why I wasn't making progress with the things that I was doing.
Right. I mean, you've always been a very healthy, for as long as I've known you, like your diet, in addition to your working out, has always been excellent. So one would wonder.
To give people some context, the 50 pounds that I lost it by doing cardio in the mornings, lifting at some other point in the day. And for anyone that understands how macros work and like how calories work, I was eating about 60 grams of carbs a day and probably eating like 1,800 calories a day.
Wow.
So extremely low calories, especially for someone at that time at my size.
Your size and burning the amount of calories you would a day.
I shouldn't need to eat so few calories and do so much activity to make just a little bit of progress, and the progress was slow. I mentioned this to my doctor a few times, and specifically I asked him to check my testosterone levels, because as I got more into fitness, I learned more about hormones and how they affect your body and how they affect your ability to lose weight, your ability to build, like everything, build muscle. And I realized that I had a lot of symptoms of low testosterone. And I brought this up to my doctor. I won't mention his name because I don't have great things to say about him.
Right.
But I mentioned this to my doctor several times. It must have been 4 or 5 times. I asked him to check my levels, which for anyone that doesn't know, it's a simple blood test. It's not expensive to do. Insurance covers it. There was no reason for him not to do this test, basically.
Right, to get your testosterone count.
And every time I would bring this up, he would basically tell me that it's probably just because I'm overweight, and it is true that being overweight does lower your testosterone.
Okay. I didn't know that. Oh.
But he basically just dismissed it and said, "Oh, it's just because you're overweight. Once you lose some weight, your testosterone, if it is low, will come back up, and it'll be fine."
It's like a catch-22. It's like
Exactly.
I know it's low.
I can't lose weight because it's low.
Yeah.
But for it to go up, I need to lose weight.
Exactly. There had to be something else going on.
And it is true that if you're otherwise healthy and you're just overweight, your hormone levels are healthy, everything's healthy, your testosterone will be lower. It's not going to be as low as mine was, which we'll get into.
Right.
It's not going to be that low, but it will be lower, and as you lose weight, it'll increase.
Okay.
But it's not going to be so low that you can't make progress in the gym like it was for me. So, fast forward a little bit, I moved to Virginia to go live with my dad, and I started seeing a new primary care doctor there in Virginia. The first visit I had with him, I brought this up to him, and I wasn't expecting him to really do anything because I was so used to being dismissed by my previous doctor.
Yeah, several times.
He happily agreed to check it. He did the blood test, and I got a phone call from him a few days later. He got the results. Actually, this will be interesting. I can pull up the exact results.
Do you have it?
I can pull up the exact results.
That'd be great, actually.
So I can tell you the exact numbers. I just got to find them.
Yeah. No, while you're searching that, I mean, I remember staying connected with you when you're in Virginia, and, it's middle of pandemic, so we're just doing our best. I think you managed to still continue working out in Virginia, right?
Yeah, I did. I continued to lift. I continued to work out in Virginia.
Yeah.
A lot of times it was with my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's great. And, I mean, I remember hearing you tell me this part and me thinking, well, first of all, thankfully that finally a physician will take you seriously and pull your blood for this test. You find it?
I got the results.
Okay.
On March 3rd of 2021, my testosterone levels, among other things, were checked. All the other levels were pretty normal. My total testosterone was 71. So for anyone that doesn't know what that means, the healthy range for testosterone is anywhere between 250 to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. That's just the unit that they measure it in.
250 to 1,000.
And yeah.
And you had 71.
I had 71. And ideally for someone like a young, healthy male adult my age at the time, I was 22, 23.
Right.
It really should be,
several hundreds.
600 or up.
Yeah.
Mine was 71 the first time it got checked. So I got a phone call from him. He said, yeah, your test results look a little bit strange. Your testosterone is extremely low. Before we make any decisions or make any diagnosis, I want to check it again just to make sure that there were no mistakes.
Okay.
So on March 9th, he checked just my total testosterone. It was 51.
51. And was that from a new sample?
Yeah. Took blood again, new sample. Just so everyone knows, both times blood was taken first thing in the morning, fasted. Results were completely accurate.
Well, yeah, I mean, two times now. I mean, sub 100. That's telling you something.
Yeah.
Sub 250, really, I mean.
So I started to get a little bit worried at this point. That is really not good. And I sort of knew what it might mean, but I didn't completely know. And he said he wanted to do some more blood work before he made a final diagnosis. So he checked a bunch of other hormones, one of which was the hormone prolactin, which is in very, very small amounts. Naturally occurs in males, and really the only time that it should be occurring in any sort of amount is in lactating women. So like if they're breastfeeding, if they just
Gotcha.
had a child, prolactin
Okay.
is responsible for, well, partly responsible for producing the milk.
So it's a naturally produced hormone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's related, prolactin, lactate.
Right.
It's very, so he checked my prolactin. My prolactin was 706.8 nanograms per deciliter. The standard range, this is the range that's given by this test, is 2 to 18 nanograms per deciliter.
For a healthy male
For
in your
someone
age
my
range.
age, yeah.
2 to 18.
Mine was 707 basically.
Wow.
So he called me into his office then, told me he got the results and they weren't good, and he diagnosed me with a brain tumor.
Now, how did he get to that from?
So prolactin, the reason prolactin is so elevated in my case is because the type of brain tumor I have, it's called a prolactinoma, is basically a collection of cells in your pituitary gland in your brain, the part of the brain that controls hormone production. It's a collection of cells that all secrete prolactin.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why it's like off the charts.
yeah,
They're all producing that.
Non-cancerous, non-deadly.
Sure.
But
it is a gland, or it is
it's a tumor
on your pituitary gland.
on my pituitary gland, secreting a shit ton of prolactin.
Yeah.
And prolactin suppresses your natural testosterone. And so what was happening is this tumor was secreting all this prolactin, and that prolactin was suppressing my testosterone, which for probably the entire time I was working out is the reason I couldn't make any progress.
Right.
Because my hormones were completely fucked.
Now, does he have any idea when this tumor may have formed?
There's no way to tell because they grow at different rates in different people. But his best guess was probably at least several years.
Yeah.
Mine was very large, which when he diagnosed me with it, he said usually these things are very, very small. He wanted me to get an MRI so that they could see this, and that a lot of times they're so small that they won't even show up on the MRI. So I go in to get the MRI. I'm back in his office a couple days later. I don't know that he has the MRI results at this point. I thought this was a follow-up appointment for other things. So I'm in his office, not knowing that I'm going to get the results from the MRI, not expecting to hear anything about the tumor. And he walks in. First thing he says is, I got your MRI results. The tumor is much bigger than I expected. And the day that he diagnosed me with a brain tumor...
When was this around? Was this around
This was
March?
March of 2021. I don't remember the exact date I was diagnosed, but it was like March 9th that I got that blood work done.
Right.
It was like a week later that I was diagnosed. The day that he diagnosed me with the tumor was, up until that point, the scariest moment, the scariest day of my life. And then I had to wait a couple of weeks to get the MRI. Those were 2 or 3 of the hardest weeks of my life. I was so anxious about it, so worried about it.
Wait, to get the
MRI. So I got diagnosed with the tumor, and then he referred me to get an MRI, but the appointment wasn't for another 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, because you said this was the moment where you had the MRI results.
So we're backtracking a little bit here.
Okay, got it. Just making sure.
So the day I was diagnosed with the tumor, scariest day of my life, being told that you have a brain tumor is...
Right, that was because the results of the
so
prolactin, and so he'd said, like, I seen this before.
So he knew it was a brain tumor. He didn't know how big it was, and he told me that they're usually very small.
Right.
And a lot of times they don't show up on MRIs.
Right.
But still, being diagnosed with a brain tumor is an extremely scary experience for anyone. So that was the scariest day of my life up to that point.
Then a few weeks waiting around in agony for the actual MRI.
I didn't
to then tell you how big it is.
Yeah, so
when it usually doesn't even appear on the MRI. That's how small it usually is.
Yeah, so those few weeks were very stressful. I was just told I have a brain tumor, and I didn't know what that meant. Like, was I going to need brain surgery? Was I going to need some sort of other treatment? Was I going to...
when he told you this, were all these options viable?
He told me that surgery was very unlikely because they're usually so small it's not necessary.
Okay.
But he couldn't say anything for sure until he got the MRI results.
Right. Jesus.
And then I was kind of just sent home. And, I was just told my hormones are completely screwed up and I have a brain tumor. And now I'm just waiting for the MRI.
And as part of you, I'm just wondering, as part of you thinking, I knew it.
There was a part of me,
I told to your maybe primary here, I told you so.
There was a lot of that at the time. And this is going to sound really, really weird. But before I got diagnosed with the tumor, before anything happened, and I told the doctor this after he diagnosed me with the tumor, I had this really weird sense that I had a brain tumor. And everyone thinks that's crazy. Everyone that hears that is going to think that's crazy. I don't know what it was. I didn't have any specific symptoms of a brain tumor.
When did you have this feeling?
Months leading up until the diagnosis, before I ever got my testosterone checked.
Did you read something did you look into pituitary gland on your own?
I don't think so. There was just some weird sense that I had that I had a brain tumor, and it sounds really strange, and at the time I didn't tell anyone because that just sounds
it's crazy, right?
That sounds crazy
to that be the exact thing, the exact cause.
Yeah, but anyway, I got diagnosed with a brain tumor, so there was a part of me that was kind of
at 23.
Yeah, so there was part of me that...
Or wait, at 2021... Yeah, I think 20... You're
23...
You're September
23.
98, right? No, you're
May.
Sorry, May 98. No, 22.
22.
22.
So I was 22 when I was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
3. Sorry.
23.
Sorry.
Wait. We can't... Wait.
Oh, Jesus.
We can't
It was
do
March
math.
of 98. 22, you're going on 23.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry.
So I was 22 when I was diagnosed with the tumor. Yeah. So...
Get the MRI.
I get the MRI. A couple days later, I'm back in his office. I'm not expecting the results to be back so quick. I thought I was there for a follow-up for hormones and stuff.
And then he says, I have the results.
Yeah, he walks in. He says, I have the results.
That's rather quick.
Your brain tumor is much bigger than I expected. You're probably going to need brain surgery.
That's what he said, that you're probably going to need brain surgery.
Yep. So, after the scariest day of my life being diagnosed with a brain tumor and a few very stressful weeks leading up to the MRI, I've now been hit with, you have a very large brain tumor and you're going to need brain surgery. That
probably trumps the other...
Trumps everything else. That was by far the scariest, and still is the scariest day, scariest week of my life.
Worst news you've ever got in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty scary.
And just to make sure, this is still your primary in Virginia.
Yeah. So
not a specialist yet.
No specialists, nothing. And this primary care doctor, his name is Dr. Cohey. He was amazing. I can't say enough good things about him. He is the reason that my life has changed completely in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough good things about him. But yeah, he told me it was a very large prolactinoma, and I was going to probably need surgery. So he referred me to a specialist, an endocrinologist, and the timing of all of this is crazy. The fact that I was in Virginia, in Charlottesville, Virginia, and there happens to be like the best clinic in the country that specializes in these tumors. This doctor that I was referred to, the endocrinologist, specializes in treating these tumors. This clinic,
Where is the clinic?
in Charlottesville, Virginia,
No way.
at the university, like
Oh,
10 minutes, 15 minutes from where I'm living.
the same university your dad's teaching at.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This clinic developed a new, basically, laser treatment to treat some of these tumors. So it's a much less invasive procedure.
Is it still surgery?
It's still technically surgery, but there is not actually going into your brain and performing surgery. It's done with a laser
From the outside?
from the outside, and
Whoa.
I don't understand all the details because I didn't have to have this done. But basically, I don't know if it cauterizes the tumor or what it does, but it's kind of similar to radiation therapy, but it's much, much more focused on that one specific area.
And this clinic, this part of the hospital, the university, kind of revolutionized that area.
Yeah, they developed this new procedure. So great clinic, great doctor. I go to the endocrinologist, and this is like another 3 weeks after being told that I'm going to need brain surgery.
It's 3 weeks after that bomb that was dropped on
I have
you?
to wait like 3 weeks to get in to see the
get the meeting?
endocrinologist.
But they have they have your scan. They know
have everything. They couldn't get me in
and
for
then
3 weeks.
what is that first meeting like with them?
So I walk in after the longest 3 weeks of my life. I meet with the doctor. He walks in. He tells me he looked at my MRI, and he goes, we should be able to treat this with medication. I don't think you're going to need surgery.
Phew, right? How did that feel?
That was, I mean, it wasn't the best news I've ever gotten in my life, but at the time, it felt like the best news I've ever gotten in my life. It was so relieving to hear that.
I mean, he just told you that, no, you don't need surgery.
He didn't guarantee it.
Oh, okay.
There's still, he said there's still always going to be a chance that the medication won't work.
Sure.
And I'll end up needing surgery. But he thinks there's a very good chance that the medication will work.
And that's from the best expert in what? That part of the country?
Yeah.
Let alone the whole country?
He's probably like one of the top doctors in this area in the country.
Yeah.
And
So to hear that from him, his opinion was relieving.
It was great.
In a sense.
So he started me on the medication.
Okay. Right then and there?
Yeah. He wrote the prescription. I started it like 2 days later.
Okay.
He started me twice a week, and I started taking it. And
did you have to change anything else of your lifestyle?
No, nothing.
Not that you had to, but was just anything else? Like
nothing else.
That's great.
Started the medication.
And what? I mean, you don't have to go into too many details, but just like for those curious, like, is the medication meant to reduce the size of the tumor?
Yeah. So it.
I know that's really loud.
Great audio.
Downtown Bloomington.
Yeah. Anyway, the medication both suppresses prolactin and also shrinks the tumor.
Okay.
And
as that's reducing, the testosterone count theoretically should go up.
Yeah. So once my prolactin levels get down to where they should be, get down to normal, the natural testosterone should increase.
Right.
And there was a chance that wouldn't happen because the tumor was so large that it could have damaged other parts of my pituitary gland that were responsible for increasing the testosterone once the prolactin was suppressed. But the chances of it going up were very good. So I started the medication. Maybe like 2 months later, I got blood work done.
Now, did you have any, because sometimes people have negative side effects to chemo, obviously, but maybe even these kind of medications. Did you have any of the
The first 2 or 3 weeks, there was some very mild side effects.
Okay.
Like headaches occasionally,
Okay.
a little bit of nausea.
Okay.
That's really it. After the first 2 or 3 weeks, that went away,
Okay.
and I haven't had any more side effects since. I'm actually going to find the blood work that was done after I started the medication.
Okay, that'd be actually great because I know these are the numbers that we all want to hear. Obviously, this is what 2 months into medication.
This was September that I got this blood work done. So what's that?
So let's say March.
Yeah, so March, so April, May, June, July, August. So like
Let's
and
say
a half,
5
and a half
months.
months,
Yeah.
something like that. I got my prolactin checked again, and it was 36.5.
Hold on, okay. Remind everyone what the prolactin number was 6
Seven-
months, 5 months prior.
706.8.
And now what was it?
36.5. So it's still outside of the range. 36.5 is still outside of the range, but
In a matter of months.
in 5.5, whatever it was, months, it came down drastically,
Yeah.
like night and day different.
Oh yeah. What about? Did you get your testosterone count too?
I got bioavailable. Actually, I did. I got all. So I got
So-
total testosterone and bioavailable or free testosterone check.
So is the total testosterone the number that you would compare?
Yeah. So total. The first 2 times it was like 72 and 51 or something.
Let's say about 70.
This time, again, total testosterone was 52. So, at this point, my testosterone
Okay.
hadn't started to increase, but prolactin had dropped.
But the production
so
of
much.
prolactin had dropped off drastically, almost nearing normal levels. So that's
yeah.
great news.
My SHBG, for anyone that loves the details, was 7 at this time, and my free androgen index was 25.8. Then I got another MRI in November
To check the size.
to check the size of the tumor after I'd been on the medication for, what is that, like 8 months or something, 7 months.
Now November, let's say 8 months.
So the tumor had
You-
shrunk
It had shrunk.
drastically.
Wonderful.
It was like a third of the size that it was when it was diagnosed. And
66% decrease in size, you'd say.
it had started to form with scar tissue around it. So that's actually a good thing. That means that the chances of it ever growing again in the future are very low because it's now surrounded by scar tissue and there's basically nowhere for it to grow.
Oh.
So the chances of the tumor ever growing again in the future are very low. And the most recent blood work that I have on here, my prolactin was
Hold on.
checked.
Wait. Can you? When was this?
This was November.
Okay, so November 2021.
Prolactin was checked 15.9.
15 down from what was it? 25.
30. I can find it 35 or something.
So we've gone from what 700
707 to 35
to 35 now to
to
15.
yeah.
15. And what are the normal levels?
I can tell you
I just
2 to 18.
there you go.
So my prolactin was finally within the range. I have had my testosterone checked multiple times since then, but not by the same clinic.
Okay.
So the results aren't available through. I actually do have
Do you have?
the most recent results.
Was that also November?
No. So the most recent testosterone. The last time I got it checked was like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
So I should start by saying this. I'm now on testosterone replacement therapy. So my testosterone started to increase naturally. I think it got up to like 248 or something. Total testosterone.
248.
Total testosterone got up to 248, and
Natural through the hormones.
2 or 3 times that I got it checked, these were months apart. So every time it hovered right around that number, like 248, 251.
Remind everyone where you started.
I started at like 51.
Yeah, right.
So it was much, much better, but it still wasn't where it should be
Sure.
for someone my age.
Sure, what,
So
600 plus
yeah,
with
so
your lifestyle?
a couple months ago, I made the decision to start testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay.
So I inject testosterone. I go to a doctor here in Bloomington for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had blood work done like
3 weeks
3
ago.
or 4 weeks ago,
Okay.
and I need to find that really quick.
Sure. Well, while you're finding that, I will say that just me personally, as a friend of yours, I've been so happy and so proud to see, your transformation. Obviously, it's been a roller coaster emotionally. Can't imagine, everything that's been happening mentally as you're sharing all this that you've been going through. But as you started off saying, the thing that was likely the worst thing that ever happened to you, your diagnosis, had become the catalyst, thankfully, for your greatest transformation in your life.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for, I didn't know at the time, but if it wasn't for the tumor, I wouldn't have gotten into fitness. I wouldn't have found my biggest passion. The reason I got into fitness was because I wanted to change my body. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to make progress in the gym.
Right.
And nothing was working. So every time something wouldn't work, I would just go and do more research because I thought maybe I was doing something wrong.
Sure.
So I'd go and I would do more research and learn as much as I could about fitness and nutrition and everything.
Right.
Just so I could apply it to myself to hopefully lose weight.
That's right.
And I didn't know at the time it was because my hormones were screwed up.
Yeah.
But I got into fitness, ironically, because of the tumor.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's like this great irony.
Looking back on it, even though it was the scariest time in my life, being diagnosed with a brain tumor, it also was kind of the best thing that's ever happened to me because it allowed me to find fitness. It allowed me to find my passion.
And to see, it established your passion in your life, your desire to transform. And now it's allowed you to see that the results of your work and the expertise that you've developed all these years in this field, so much in fact that you're majoring in exercise science, right? And this is something you're passionate about, you want to help others with in their lives too.
Yeah, I love talking about fitness. I love learning about it. I love sharing it with people and helping other people.
Yeah.
And
nutrition too.
Nutrition, everything health related. I want to keep talking about that, but I found the results.
Yes.
So
3 weeks ago, your latest blood work.
I got a full blood panel, everything checked, everything's healthy. My total testosterone was 605.
605.
Completely different.
Bang.
That's right about where I want it. Maybe a little bit higher, like if I could be really picky about it, but I'm not like...
What year is it? 2022? And what? March of 21, it was what, 70? Mid 50, 70? And now you're at 605.
So, in about a year and a half.
Yeah. Right. We're now in September, I guess.
And for anyone, also, I'm about to hit 100 pounds lost total from the heaviest I've ever been.
Wow.
And the majority of that has happened in the last year and a half. Really, the majority of it has happened in like the last 8 months. So, yeah, I mean, completely different.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Really quickly, I want to give the other results. My total testosterone was 605. My free testosterone was 195, and my bioavailable testosterone was 457. I just want to share that, so if anyone is actually interested in the numbers, that's something that I'm interested in. I like hearing those numbers. So
yeah, I love hearing it too. I love hearing if we think about how it started. And I mean, you just look at you look at pictures, your old videos. I mean, you obviously see it, and I'm glad you're also feeling it. And I guess my question is, where are you going from here? What's the next?
Just continue to make progress.
Yeah.
Continue to both in fitness and in other aspects of my life. that's something we haven't talked about at all. Is it's not just a physical change for me. Yeah, I've lost a ton of weight.
Almost 100
I
pounds.
look completely different. But I think more than anything, the biggest differences have been mental and emotional. We won't get too much into detail with this episode, but when I was younger, I struggled with very severe anxiety and very severe depression. Now looking back on it, a lot of it was related to hormone imbalances. But since starting treatment, since being on testosterone, since all of that, my mood is completely different. Like, I'm so much happier. I have so much more confidence. I'm just so much more comfortable being myself.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more social. I have a lot more energy.
Confidence. All these amazing things that are
basically everything.
A product of the entire transformation.
Yeah.
Mental, physical, and I mean, it really is your health. Like, now that your health, for lack of better word, is now in order, it's normal.
Yeah, I got everything figured out.
You're gonna continue with the testosterone?
Yeah, I'll most likely be on that forever. Once you start testosterone replacement therapy, there's a chance that you won't ever be able to come off of it, because once you start putting exogenous hormones, or basically like hormones that aren't naturally occurring, once you start putting those into your body, it suppresses the production of your natural testosterone.
Oh, okay.
And if you're on it for long enough, and it also depends on the person, it can suppress the production of natural testosterone.
Okay.
And that might not ever start again.
Okay.
There's things that you can do. They're called post-cycle therapies, PCTs.
Okay.
That's getting more into like steroid cycles as well. That's what
Sure.
bodybuilders will cycle steroids. And when they come off of a cycle, they'll do a PCT to kind of clean their system out and bring their endocrine system back to like baseline, basically.
Okay.
So there are things you can do to jumpstart your natural testosterone again, if I ever wanted to stop taking it, but there's really no reason to stop taking it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any side effects?
There can be. I haven't noticed any. There's a chance that it can affect your fertility, so there's a chance that I won't be able to have kids if I'm on testosterone. So at that point, I would, like, if I decide I want to try to have a kid, I would probably come off of testosterone for a few months and do a PCT and try to have a kid and then go back on testosterone.
Right.
I don't see myself ever stopping it. I have a prescription for it, so it's monitored by a doctor, and it does make a massive difference.
Yeah.
In both my ability to build muscle, my energy levels, my mood,
Totally.
and my ability to lose fat.
Yeah.
Among other things.
So what about your medicine for the tumor?
I still take that.
Okay.
I take that 3 times a week now. It's called Kybergoline. It's actually what bodybuilders will use as a PCT, post-cycle therapy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because what can happen if you use a lot of steroids and you're injecting hormones into your body is it will increase prolactin, and so they'll use this to suppress the prolactin and then bring their natural testosterone back up.
Right. Okay.
So, but for my purposes, it's used to shrink the tumor and suppress the prolactin that was created by the tumor.
And will you do another check-in to see the size and then maybe reevaluate your need for that?
I'll probably have another MRI at some point in the next couple of years. I go and I see the endocrinologist once a year.
Okay.
But there's really no reason to get an MRI right now because it had shrunk so much.
Right.
And there's already scar tissue.
Right.
So
and that was
really,
November. So
yeah, there's really no risk of it growing as long as I'm getting regular blood work, so as long as my hormones look normal, everything looks normal.
Yeah.
There's no reason to think that it's growing again.
Yeah.
It is just a precautionary measure to have another MRI at some point.
Sure.
But MRIs are also very expensive, and insurance doesn't like to cover them very often. I've had 2 of them in the span of like 8 months.
Yeah.
I actually had a 3rd one on my shoulder, so
Is that right?
that's a whole different. That's
I didn't
completely
know.
unrelated.
Oh, wow.
So I actually had 3 MRIs in a very short amount of time. So getting a 4th MRI covered by insurance is not in the cards anytime soon. And there's just no reason to get one right now.
Well, I mean, for your listeners, those wanting to follow along now, from this point forward in your journey, what can they expect from future episodes of this podcast?
Just kind of more of this, talking about my life, talking about my fitness journey.
Advice.
Yeah, advice, tips. If you have any questions, either like fitness related questions, nutrition related questions, or questions about things that I've been through, you can leave those in the comments. I kind of like every episode maybe pick, like, if there's a couple questions, maybe pick a couple and answer them in the episode.
Yeah.
I should say I'm not an expert. I've done a lot of research. I've experienced a lot of things myself, but
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, so take anything and everything I say with a grain of salt. But yeah, basically just more of this. Get more into my life, more into the differences that I've experienced since starting treatment and since starting testosterone. Just talk more about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm excited, man. And I know I already mentioned it, but very happy for you as a friend.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, as your bro. And I mean, only bigger and better things ahead. And I, for one, just my own little thing is, currently trying to lose weight and stay healthy and work out. And seeing your Instagram stories every day is honestly a huge motivator for me, because I'm like, well, if he's in the gym most days, if not every day, at least once a day, then I can certainly do it too. And it's something that just personally, like a day that I work out and a day that I don't are completely different mentally days,
yeah.
right?
I notice the same thing. I can't go a day without doing some sort of like physical activity.
Yeah.
Lifting for me is my favorite. Personally, I despise cardio, but I do it.
I know, we got to do it. Yeah, I guess.
I just enjoy talking about my fitness journey and my experiences.
Yeah.
I think it's really beneficial to me to talk about this stuff and share it.
Yeah.
When I was first diagnosed with the tumor and everything happened, it was something I didn't really like to talk about, just because it was such a stressful time in my life.
Right.
But now I love to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it helps me to talk about it, and if it can help someone else out there by talking about it, or anything else that I've been through, any of the struggles I've gone through, any of the advice that I have, like if it helps someone else, that's even better. That's that much better.
Yeah, totally, man. I think it really will. I think it will. I'm excited for this podcast. The episodes to come, whether I'm on them or not, they're going to be amazing.
We'll have you back on.
All right, I can't wait, because I certainly am always trying to learn about health and fitness always too. So I'll certainly have some questions, but until then, I encourage everyone to follow along. Follow Sam on Instagram. I'm sure you'll link everything.
Yeah, I'll link my Instagram. I'll link your Instagram. We mentioned Ryan. I'll link his Instagram. And I'll also link the Iron Pits Instagram. All of those will be linked in the description below. I'm hoping to make these episodes once a week or something, assuming we can find enough to talk about every week.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll make it work.
Yeah. Let Sam know. Hit him up. What kind of topics you want him to talk about.
Also, if you think that you would be a good guest on the podcast, if you have your own fitness journey to talk about, if you feel like you have advice that you can give to people, let me know. I'm looking for guests.
There
I'd
you
love
go.
to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Well,
I
that's a great start to this.
I think that's a great first episode. It took us a few minutes to warm up, but we got into it.
I think we did.
I think that was good.
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone for watching. If you aren't already subscribed, subscribe to my channel. If you want to see what I used to look like, you can either go to my Instagram and look, or you can go back and look at my last video on this channel was from a few years ago. You can see the difference if you're interested.
Your photos on Instagram too really tell a story.
I appreciate everyone for watching. I appreciate you for being my co-host on this episode.
My pleasure.
Anyway, I think that's where we're going to end this episode. Thank you, guys.
All right. Very nice, dude. Very nice. How you feel?
I feel good.
I think that's really good, dude.